What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. Today, we're coming at you with some unexpected news specifically surrounding the injury to Michael Thomas, wide receiver of the New Orleans Saints. Now, before we get into the impact for this and his 2021 fantasy football projections, a quick reminder, if you guys enjoy, hit that like button, subscribe, let us hear it in the comment section. Any other questions you guys might have, we will do our best to answer them. And lastly, check us out online at alldaypigskin.com. And while you're there, get yourself a copy of the 2021 ADP Fantasy Football Draft Guide, which has everything you could want at a great price. Top 150 overall player rankings, standard and PPR formats, individual player bios, tiers, projections, along with general fantasy advice. But with that being said, let's get into this thing. And here, as I mentioned this morning, the news becoming public knowledge that Michael Thomas is expected to miss the start of the 2021 season per Ian Rappaport. Basically, he's going to be undergoing surgery to deal with, I guess, lingering issues on that ankle. And this is the type of surgery that could take about 4 months of recovery time, which means, you can do the math right now, July, almost August. This thing could last until October, mid-October, potentially even November. We'll see. It all depends on the timetable of return. But in the grand scheme of things, this is brutal news for his fantasy football season and a potential, bounce back 2021 year, because 2020 was a disappointment and it was all due to injuries. I mean, Michael Thomas is a guy, when he's healthy, he's always been absolutely sensational. And the thing with the 2021 year was, even with Drew Brees gone, it didn't really matter. He was the one wide receiver, the one weapon more so than anybody else, even Alvin Kamara, that if it was Taysom Hill, that if it was Jameis Winston, he would be the most, matchup proof, the most immune to that quarterback situation, that quarterback battle, and he would still be putting up wide receiver one type of numbers. Right now, his ADP was anywhere between the end of the second round, early, middle, third round. And we've been screaming for months that he is one of the best values at the wide receiver position. If you could get him in the third round, that is the biggest no-brainer of a pick for your 2021 fantasy football drafts. Obviously, that's no longer really the case, because if he misses a month, maybe more, a month and a half, then, that's almost half of the fantasy football season. Not quite, but around there. And then you expect a little bit of rust, some more recovery time just to see how things progress. And just like that, Michael Thomas potentially misses 50% of the season. So forget about him being a value in the third round. I mean, now you're probably looking at him as a bench piece, a stash more so than anything, that you're not going to be able to utilize for a while. So he is no longer in the wide receiver one conversation. Sure, once he returns, we expect that he will be putting up solid numbers, because that's what, again, Michael Thomas does. But, for our rankings heading into 2021, we had him in our top 12 wide receivers. We had him as pretty much a slam dunk, borderline top 5 wide receiver in PPR scoring. Same for standard for the most part, because he was going to get all the targets. He was going to get the yards. He was going to get all those opportunities volume-wise. No concrete number 2 wide receiver on the team. And now it's very realistic that he probably finishes the season with under 1,000 yards receiving, which means that's probably going to put him, outside of the top 35, top 40 wide receivers on the season. Absolutely brutal, brutal news right now, per ADPs. We need this to settle a little bit, but, Michael Thomas probably in the ninth, 10th round could be a type of luxury pick if you've done really well with your first couple of selections. But it's tough to see him go any earlier than that. It might even be a little bit later, depending on, these news continuing to come out. Right now, the best thing to do, unfortunately, is kind of avoid Michael Thomas. What this means for the Saints is that Alvin Kamara is going to be even more involved. We expect a new wide receiver to probably be added, since there isn't a clear-cut number 1 wide receiver on that team. But, if you want to say the biggest impact this has, obviously hurts Michael Thomas, hurts those quarterbacks a little bit, and then does help Alvin Kamara specifically in PPR scoring, because he will get more volume. But other than that, that's kind of the big takeaway here. Let us know your thoughts, concerns in the comment section. If you enjoyed, hit that like button, subscribe, And again, check us out online at alldaypigskin.com. And in the meantime, we'll see you guys in future videos.